Welcome tonight to another series or another topic in the series of In the Art of Living. This is In the Art of Living, Beauty from the Inside Out. And these webinars are free online webinars to help individuals find more ways for well-being through body, mind, and soul. If you're not familiar with PureEsperanza, our mission is dedicated to bringing forth consciousness while educating body, mind, and soul in the art of well-being. Tonight, I'm so excited for our co-host, Radha Schwaller, who is an Ayurvedic educator, practitioner, and therapist. Apart from being an herbalist and aromatherapist, I'll let Radha share with you a little bit more about her experience and her years of training as well. But on a side note, Radha and I first met each other some time ago. Her eldest daughter was just a first grader, and now she's in college. I happened to be her teacher back then, once upon a time ago, when I was a Waldorf educator. And I'm just so excited because Radha was not only a wonderful parent in that class, already practicing so much of what has become her life's vocation, but also I was so blessed to receive her healing energy and her massage while she was doing training back then. And to this day, I have repeatedly told people that Radha was the best massage that I ever received. So I thank you so much because it's still like energetically in my body. It remembers. So anyway, without taking up any more time, I'd like to pass this over to Radha so she can start us out on tonight's wonderful topic of self-care and love. Thank you.
Thank you, Esperanza. It's so lovely to be invited on this call. We have been planning this for months and months, and so we had no idea that the world would be where it is today when we first planned this, but this is a perfect topic for where we're at in the world, and it is such a lovely just reminder of what's important. And I'll just introduce myself and tell you a little bit about my story. So I have been studying and practicing holistic health in many forms since I became pregnant with my now almost 20-year-old. I can't even believe that's possible, but it is. And what brought me to holistic health is being pregnant with her and going through the Western healthcare, just sitting with the doctor and being at that time young and not knowing anything about pregnancy, what was happening to my body, what was going to happen during labor, and wanting to ask about a million questions that I didn't even know how to articulate. And so a friend of mine introduced me to midwifery, and I went to go meet with this midwife that she recommended, and it was so polar opposite from the care and the interactions I had with the Western doctor that it was so obvious that I had to go with the midwife for my journey through pregnancy and childbirth. And that really spawned my desire to empower myself and my family and be able to take care of my children with holistic medicine instead of relying on the Western medicine that I felt like didn't take much time or have much energy for education. It was more like, how, do you have any questions? Okay, if you don't, I'm gonna step out of the room in, less than 5 minutes. And so I just was craving more. I wanted to be really a good caretaker for my children. And so We have raised our family, with holistic principles. And through that, it's crossed over into my career and into my purpose, which is to nourish people deeply, from the inside out, and really offer that deep care that Ayurveda is what I came to really bring that forth. And it was interesting because I started studying herbs, and then I started studying homeopathy and aromatherapy and then massage. And I just kept thinking, how does this all come together? What makes this cohesive? And then I found Ayurveda. And Ayurveda is the healing ancient science from India that is said to be the oldest healing modality on the planet. And it really just tied everything together, the food and the self-care and the exercise and the herbs and all of the things. And so I just knew that that was my path. And so I've been studying that since 2007, and I will continue to study. It's a very vast science. And I think some of the most lovely pieces from it are these pieces that we can weave into our daily lives every day that help keep us in alignment and keep our energy channels open and keep our heart open and keep our digestive system feeling good, so that health is a long-term plan. And so, if we just spend a few minutes every day, I mean, you can spend, as long as you want, hours and hours, but you can also just spend 5 minutes every day, and that accumulation is going to really add up at the end of a year and give you a lot of good health. And it can be that simple. And I think one of the first things people think of when they think of Ayurveda is food. And food is, of course, everyone eats every day, right? And some of us more than others. I am a self-proclaimed foodie. I love food. And so I love to cook it. I love to eat other people's food. I love to travel and, find all the good restaurants. But you can tell when food is prepared with love and consciously versus, say, fast food. I mean, there is a huge difference between food that you can tell has been cooked in a kitchen with intention versus something that you can just drive through and pick up on your way somewhere else. And that's really the gift. One of the gifts that Ayurveda has given me is just to realize how much the food that we eat each day is medicine for us. And if we look at the times that we're sitting down at the table as that, what I'm putting into my body is medicinal and is creating the body, the mind, the spirit that I will have for the rest of my life. It's really empowering to think of food in that way and to really choose the highest quality. If you are going to eat, sweets, like make sure that it's something that's of high quality, right? Homemade, has organic ingredients. Maybe you made it yourself, something fresh. We like to look at all of the food in Ayurveda as an energetic piece of medicine. So the freshest food, so say we made a lunch today and we didn't get to eat it all. When we cook food, it releases the energetic blueprint of all of the constituents, the spices, the oils, the vegetables, the legumes, whatever we're putting in there. That life force energy gets released in that moment when we cook it. And then when we consume it, it's at its optimal point of absorption. The longer the food sits, the less life force energy it has. So if you are familiar with Ayurveda, you've probably heard people talk about that leftovers aren't ideal. And that is why. It's just that the life force energy is awakened in that moment of cooking. And then when we eat it, we have the most ability to absorb that life force energy. And that's going to give us more vibrance. That's going to give us more vitality. That's going to give us that glow from the inside out when we have that life force energy coming through. Of course, local foods, things that you can buy at your farmer's market or grow yourself. That is the best, of course. We don't all have, gardens that we can grow all of our food, but anything you can, even the pot on your windowsill that has basil, if you pick a leaf and eat that every day, that is going to have a lot of life force energy for you. And then, of course, we can make teas out of the herbs that we grow. And really just considering that food as medicine. The products that we put on our skin is another level of beauty from the inside out. So really whatever we put on our skin is absorbing into our bloodstream, and as our liver, it bypasses the liver. So that's actually can be a really good thing and a not so good thing. The good aspect of that is that if our liver is overheated or has accumulated a lot of toxins, which is quite easy to do in our mainstream world, because even if we are eating the purest foods, we're breathing air that has pollution, the water can be polluted. So our liver does have to work really hard. So we can put medicine on the skin, and that would be like herbal oils or herbal salves, and that is going to have an effect on our body, and it will go into where it needs to go, and it will bypass the liver. So the liver doesn't have to process that. Say if we took like herbal capsules, something like that, then the liver has to process those herbal medicines. And so the downside of that, of course, is that if we buy products or have products that we use on our bodies that have chemicals, the liver can't process out the chemicals. And so the chemicals or fragrances that can be very hormone disrupting can just be running rampant in the body. And so there's a lot of places that we can look for ingredients if we don't know what's in them. In different products that we're buying, there's the Environmental Working Group website. It's ewg.org. And you can look up products on that website. You can look up specific ingredients if you're reading something on a label that you're unsure of. And you can see how safe it is. And so it's really good to just be aware also that there's so much greenwashing, which is a term used to describe marketing that looks really healthy, organic, clean, but is not. They're trying to trick us. There are not there's hardly any regulations by the FDA on products, especially body care products. And one of the companies that I work with, Beautycounter, is working towards getting more regulations and pass through the Senate and through the Congress so that we can have more safe products on the shelves. And the website is ewg.org. And so that's something that, even you can't rest on your laurels, I guess, is something that my grandma would say, because if you go to Target and you think, I'm going to go get some laundry detergent, and you get there and you're looking for the cleanest, safest, there really isn't any at Target that you can get that are totally clean. But all of the labels there would try to convince you that they are. And so it's just something to look into and do your best. If you can just switch out one product a month in your house to something that's clean, you're going to make a huge difference on your health. The next piece that I wanted to cover is something that has truly changed my health and wellness on a holistic level, and that is meditation. And when anyone asks me what one thing they can do to help with their health, I say meditation. And when I met my husband in 1999, he was an avid meditator, and he would talk about it all the time and tell me how great it was. And I tried the form of meditation that he was doing, and it didn't work for me. And I tried it again and it didn't work for me. And I tried it again and it just annoyed me. and so I thought, meditation is not for me. I can't do it. I just stopped there. And then a friend of mine is a meditation teacher. And then he started saying, you need to learn to meditate. You need to learn to meditate. And I just kept telling him, I'm fine. I can meditate on my own. And then one day I just said, fine, stop bothering me. I will learn to meditate from you. And thank goodness I did. So that was 2009 that I learned Transcendental Meditation, which is a mantra-based meditation. And the effects have been profound. Just releasing, unraveling the stress in the nervous system is one of the best things you can do for your health. And so I would encourage you, if you don't have a meditation practice that you use daily, to just keep exploring modalities, keep looking. There's lots of forms of meditation out there, and you just have to find one that's right for you and that fits you. And your lifestyle and the way that you like to unwind. But it's a real gift being able to have a tool that helps unravel the stress in the nervous system, because there is so much stress coming at us now, especially in the world. And it's really hard to process that on our own without a tool to help unwind that. And one thing that I notice when I either miss a meditation or didn't have a long enough meditation is that I get these lines right here in my face because I'm thinking really hard. I feel really stressed. And so I get these lines right here. And so that's my indicator. I say, okay, I have to meditate more because I'm feeling the lines in my forehead. And, but it's more than that too. I'm more patient. I'm more present. I feel more connected to source, so I can follow my inspiration in an easier way when I have my meditation practice going every day. And and so I just wanted to share that with you and just encourage you to keep looking if you haven't found one yet, and really just tap into these simple aspects of what Esperanza is going to talk about with good medicine all around us, and tuning into that happy, energetic field that can come from these small changes that we make every day that really accumulate over time.
Radha, thank you so much. I wanted to give us an opportunity to, talk about anything right now, take a few moments to touch base with some of the things that Radha said, if it's something that's resonating with you. I know that my husband will be thrilled, Radha, that you mentioned leftovers are not the ideal situation because he can't stand leftovers. I've really, it took me a long time, cooking for a family of 4 to, 6 with the adults included, but cooking in that way to then it's shrinking, to just now 2. Primarily, so every now and then when I have everyone over, I feel more like in my element, when I'm putting on all the food. But we had leftovers for a while. We finally started getting out of that mentality or whatever it was that kind of had us set there. And I really can appreciate all that you shared about meditation. My husband will be thrilled to hear you say that also, that idea that it's resonated with him, like, oh, I just can't meditate. I can't do it like that, and exploring lots of different ways to do that. Because for me, it's been a lifelong journey, for a very long time, practicing lots of different kinds of meditation, and then also just being able to find that the same kind of stillness that I can enter into, because I've practiced so many different things, but that I can use it. Like I actually, last year before we had moved into the city, I was up in Evanston, so that's a little bit outside of the city, side by side with Chicago, and on the subways, I'd be like zenning in this moment, right? Like shoulder to shoulder with people, right? But just being able to do that so that I could feel like energetically okay to, walk several blocks or do whatever else that I needed to do, because I knew that I had to kind of hold myself and anchor myself And that's a lot of like what you had mentioned as far as allowing you to have more patience. For me, it's been a lot more of that calmness that you can enter into, but that's always an anchor, how to be anchored, especially when you have a lot of things coming at you. As you had mentioned, right now, the time that we're living in, certainly the pandemic, and then, just the unrest that we've been feeling in that energetic field so strongly. And for people that are sensitive, it's like, just it's a bombardment. And so how to be able to anchor, to hold that, and to come with a fresh disposition and an optimistic one to life in a positive way, one that's not just like, oh yeah, I'm like meditating, but really as a practical tool day in and day out for our well-being. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this idea of good medicine. And the ancients, all indigenous people, I think, would talk about it in some way. The Native American Indian traditions would talk about it as good medicine. And recently I found a quote that says, future medicine will be the medicine of frequencies. And that's by Albert Einstein. And that really, really sunk in and really resonated what the experience has been for me energetically, to be able to feel into the fields around me and really being able to recall what it's been like my whole life, but I didn't always know that. And it's a thing that I think a lot of us know. Maybe as children we perceive it more, and then our intellect kicks in at some point as we become young adults, and sometimes that becomes a very strong force. Our experiences might lend us to be more in that state of thinking. And a lot of our systems really perpetuate that idea, and it sometimes disconnects us from our heart space and what we perceive energetically, which also I think is very closely connected with our heart. So I'd like to share with you a very simple and practical tool that is way underestimated, and that I believe we have access to, every one of us on some level every day. We've been doing it our whole lives, and not only is it practical, but it's fun. So I'm going to share with you now a screen of and you probably can see it here. Wait 1 second, let me go back to that. I think that's not quite what I wanted to do. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So every one of us has had experiences with the 4 elements. So, it's something that really has come into our lives, all of our lives. And I invite you, as we're talking about, or as I'm talking about these 4 elements, but I'd like for you to do that too, go down into your chat and just type in anything that comes to your mind as we start to remember different experiences we've had with fire, air, water, and earth. Each of these elements has been a part of our life and our experience. We may have not have named it, but we have had experiences directly with how good it makes us feel, and even how they are closely akin to different types of qualities in our soul and in our body and in spirit. So just being able to perceive as to ways that you have experienced the element of fire, of air, water, and earth, and thinking back to times even when you were very young, how you might have interpreted the energy and the good medicine that they were giving you, and recalling even as to something today and the way it works for you. So thinking about fire, you can type in something in the chat box down below, I'm thinking all of you know how to navigate, but just raise your hand if you don't. The element of fire is one that I'm really close to. So try to think of a time that you have an experience with that element of fire. For me, I would say hands down, it's the idea of sun worshiping. I am a sun worshiper. I know that regardless of whatever my experiences are, undoubtedly, it is my go-to. If I can capture a ray of sunlight and lay in it, my whole body feels better. Now, what I'm sharing with you isn't true for everyone, but every one of us has had experiences with these different elements. So try to think of one way that you've connected with fire. In winter, being in the Midwest, the element of fire coming into my home by candlelight or in a fireplace or a fire pit in the backyard, all those ways were ways of bringing that warmth close to me, and that would be a warming experience that would be very close to soul qualities that are imbued in my passion and creativity. And I've always seen it as a way to be healing energetically. Thinking about air and all the different ways. And, you know, I'm just always so in wonder because I feel that nature has provided us with so much wisdom and so many gifts. They're really abundant. And they're always moving to us. That's the quality of air. So thinking again about a connection that you may have had with air and typing that in, that way we could all have a shared experience of different ways that we might have had this active in our lives. Today, I laid outside under a tree, and the tree, along with the breeze that was blowing, was energetically not only providing me with good medicine, which I think is healing medicine, but it was also very freeing. It allowed me to free the space of my mind and allowed me to be grounded with the earth. But it was that movement, that freeing up, that actually let me experience the grounding more deeply. Recently, I was thinking about a book that I've been listening to on tape, and it's called Braiding Sweetgrass. I don't know the name of the author offhand, but it's a beautiful book and beautiful stories about her indigenous upbringing, or her ancestral upbringing as well. And it was just really beautiful to think of the way it's described, that the earth has so much abundance. It has everything already, so what could we possibly give to the earth that already has everything in such abundance? Everything to give. And it was along these lines that coming to that moment of recognition, connecting with the earth, with each of these elements, or the four kingdoms of the minerals, plants, the animals, or other human beings, but these connections, that honoring of that is how we give back. And that's so profound and so deep, and it was like a double blessing. It was like recognizing the blessing of the earth and then recognizing that I am giving back to that blessing just by that recognition, and now sharing this with you. Water. Are any of you super close with water? I think all women are in some ways, for sure. I've been so blessed this past year to live with a body of water that's been very close to me, Lake Michigan. It's been in and around my life in many different points, around the lake actually. And we've taken trips literally around the whole lake and the other lakes that connect with it as well, the Great Lakes, and just really being able to feel the energy of them. It's as if though they have received the bearing of my soul many times, and that element has always been so healing for me to feel the waves, the current, you know, the idea of even when I lived by the ocean, the ebb, the tide, and all of that so closely connected with my own being. So again, this way that the water is a healing agent. And I believe for us as women, we are very connected to it also from the emotional standpoint, that a lot of the feminine energy also is facilitated through our being and our creativity, but that we bear this water, and that we hold like a vessel all this beautiful movement. It's so powerful, and it's so soothing as well. We think about creation being, in the room, that whole bag of waters, and how it comes out of us as we birth new life. It's just a really beautiful way to tap into this energy, and again, type in an experience or some way that you have water with you. And again, a lot of these opportunities to be outside with nature are ways to connect, but we can find ways to bring them into our home or to experience them indoors as well. So a bath, a ritual that allows you to connect deeper into those, again, qualities of the soul, intuition, compassion, healing, all akin to water. And then our dear grounding earth. Anyone here have experiences with tree hugging, with sitting on those mountain rocks? Yeah, it's deeply connected to us. And there is so much earth wisdom that comes to us, and we can feel our roots connected very deeply in our being. And energetically, we feel that strength from the earth, right? Ancient. Sometimes we hear about the earth and the possibility of it going away, like that we could destroy it. And that may be a possibility. And then there's another possibility that the earth, once humanity decides to not be in existence, perhaps there will be a way that the earth transforms or continues to transform, because that's what it's done for eons. And so it's interesting to watch this time that we're in, to see the ways that the earth has not been attended to see our part of how we can attend to it, and to feel that connection that not only heals what we do with connection to the earth, but at the same time heals us. We are connected deeply with it. And perhaps it is with that nourishment that we give ourselves and how we connect with ourselves and nature wisdom that allows us to, again, bless the earth as well, and find those ways that truly honor it. So if you have some connections with the earth, feel free to put them in the chat so we can look at those as we're going through the rest of this evening together. And to feel, again, that abundance is the prosperity, it is the endowment that we have life right now, and that we get to work with that energy, use that energy, play with that energy in all these different ways. So I just wanted to share with you a bit about that, and always our power to heal. It is clearly available to us, accessible to us, and always has been here, always will be. So with that, I would love to allow us to receive some more of that good medicine wisdom. Back to you, Radha.
Thank you. That was lovely. It's really fun to dive into the elements, and it just brings me into a very present space that is very appreciative of things that I can take for granted. And I think probably all of us have related with that at some point, of just not realizing how lovely it is just to feel the wind on your face, or feel the sun on your skin, or walk barefoot on the ground, or just enjoy watching the wind push the waves across the water. It's really simple and very profound at the same time. So that, with that, I would love to give you this gift of a little tutorial of something you can do. I am a self-proclaimed product junkie as far as beauty products come, and I love things that smell good and feel good and are clean, and I take a lot of joy in spending at least 15 minutes before I go to bed every night, just doing a really simple skincare routine. There's a lot of reasons why I love to do that, and I'll share some of those with you. Our face is one of the only parts of our body that is always exposed to elements and energy and pollution, and the rest of our body lives behind clothing or a hat or gloves or shoes most of the time, and so it doesn't absorb as much as our faces do. Our face also, we're going to be talking about Marma Points, and Marma Points are very similar to acupuncture points, and they're just from the Ayurvedic tradition, and from the ancient science of India, life and longevity. And what these points are is just a point on the body where life force energy can go in and out. And because we have these channels that go throughout our entire body that bring life force into, say, our organs and our tissues and our endocrine system and our lymphatic system, our blood vessels, we also have this subtle body that is being activated through these points. And when we work on these points on our face, so our whole body has 108 of these points. Our face and our head have about 35 of them. So there's quite a few of them on the face. And when we spend some time working with those energy points on our face, we're really allowing the rest of our body to receive more life force energy. And so it's very renewing, not just for, vanity purposes of like our skin, but also of our whole energetic being. And I also learned today that from a massage therapist friend of mine that the muscles on our face and head are very thin, which means they don't hold as much water. And so the muscles in the rest of our body are holding more water, which means that they're more stable. They have more resilience. They have less ability to be depleted, say, as the muscles in our face, which are very thin. And so this water can be lost a lot easier, which of course is going to give us an appearance of feeling not as glowing. Let's put it that way. And so my face is actually still rosy because right before this started, I washed my face and then I spent some time using a face gemstone roller. I don't know if you've seen one of these before. You can get them basically everywhere. I think even Target has them, like random places that I've gone have these. And so it's a roller that they have used similar types to these in the East for beauty rituals for many, many years. And what I love about it is that it's super cooling. So it's especially nice in the summer, but really I use it year round. And I'm just using just a little bit of pressure, not a ton, not super light either, but I can really feel the stress unraveling as I am massaging my face. And so I did have a little bit of facial oil on before this. I put some brightening, Beautycounter brightening oil, which has some vitamin C in it. And I'm just going along all of the bony prominences in my face and just kind of waking everything up. This feels super good, and it increases circulation in your skin, helps open up the Marma Points, and then we can work more specifically with them. This one has a little one that you can use around your eyes. So if you wake up with puffy eyes in the morning, you can use this to kind of help smooth things out. And I use a little bit less pressure with the small end of the roller. Feels really nice and cooling. But as you could see, I mean, that was about an hour ago that I kind of really got in there. It was like rolling, and it really increased the circulation in my face a lot. And it just feels super good. We actually hold a lot of tension in our faces. And you'll feel that when you start rolling, especially like along our eyebrows and temples and, you know, around the edge of our hairline and our jaw muscle. And I feel like I could do that for a really long time. I must hold a lot of tension in my jaw. It just helps really open everything up. And of course, it's going to help because it's smoothing out the muscles. It's going to help with the fine lines in our skin too, and just kind of give us a little bit more of that even skin tone. And so the Marma Facial that you can do, so I told you I had a little bit of this facial oil on, so I'm just going to use a little bit more. Comes with a dropper, and I'm going to drop it just on my middle finger. And so when I do the Marma on the specific points, I like to use my middle finger because it has the least amount of strength. And so it's just going to be really soft and gentle. This channel of the body is also connected to our heart. And so it gives this wisdom from the heart as well, energetically. And so I'm going to use the ring finger, and I'm just going to come to kind of the middle of my forehead, and I'm just going to do circles there. And you can do 7, 14, or 21 circles, and just really gentle pressure. So hardly any pressure at all, versus like the roller where I was really kind of getting in there. I'm just going to use just that. And then I'm going to come down to the temples, and then I'm just going to use both of my ring fingers and just do circles on my temples. Again, really gentle pressure. And you can spend as much time as you want on these points. And then I come to kind of right here. You'll feel the point is pretty obvious when you get there. It's a little tender. And so I just do little circles there. And I'm not really digging in too deep again here, pretty gentle. So it's just on the surface of the skin. I'm just doing the circles there. And then I'm going to come into the corners of the nose. You can see this line right here kind of points right to that spot. So it's going to be just like right in the corners of the nose. And yeah, you can totally do this without oil if you don't have any right by you. It's totally fine to do that. And then we're going to do right here in the little divot in between our lip and our nose. I already feel really calm and more relaxed. It's amazing. And I'm talking while I'm doing it too, so. And then there's 4 points actually like right around your mouth. And so I just start with the top 2 and I'd work those. And then I just go down to the next 2. And you can kind of feel like your finger will know where the spot is. It's interesting how strong and energetic it is. If it feels like the right spot, it is. And then I come into the middle of the chin, and this one kind of mirrors the one above the lip. And if you want me to send you a little map, I have a PDF of this so that you can see all the points. I know Esperanza has everyone's email, so I'm happy to send that to you if you want that. And then there's a point here. And then the last one is kind of here, like you can kind of see where my skin, there's like a line that comes down. There's going to be like a little divot right there. And then I usually like to end just with this little, like right in between your clavicles, there's like a V. And this just kind of helps everything open up and pulls everything down into the body. And so I end with that point. Yeah, and so that's something I usually like to do every evening or a few times a week. You know, cleanse my face and then do a little bit of toner and then use the facial oil and then just kind of massage it into my skin. And I really have noticed a difference in just the quality of how my skin feels, but also energetically, it just feels really refreshing just to kind of wash off the day's energy from your face. And then you get the added benefit of people, you know, saying that you're reverse aging, which is fun. What are you doing to your skin? You know, which is fun to just, it's very simple, you know. No, I had a woman the other day who couldn't believe I'd never had Botox. And I was like, nope, no thank you. I want to feel my face.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, so I'd be happy to send you the little map of that. And if you have any questions, I'm very happy to answer them as well.
That's great. You know, Radha, what I was experiencing was energetically, like you're saying, I'm like, boy, I'm not even into this. Like I can think, you know, obviously how I will enhance this, right, in my own little ritual of how I will do this, right? But it was so wonderful. I could feel what you mentioned when you ended here, how it would just bring it all down. So feeling so good with that. And thank you so much. Now, what is that roller you had again? Because I've seen those, but I've never used one.
Yeah, so it's a Gemstone facial roller, and you can find it, you could Google it. I'm sure Amazon has them, although I would recommend trying to get them from somewhere else if you can locally. But yeah, they make them out of different stones. So this one happens to be rose quartz, but I think traditionally in the East, they were made out of jade. And so they're, you know, jade roller, they're called that. And yeah, it's really a simple tool that I love so much.
Yeah.
Ooh, a little tickle in my throat.
I have a couple of questions. Well, yeah, there are questions. It was at an acupuncture place, I believe it was, yes, that I was introduced to a roller that actually has a lot of very, very fine little needles.
Oh, yeah.
That you could actually roll it and you bleed, you know, it's not hurting. I never did it because I was afraid it just didn't look right. Do you know what those are, and do you think those are good? I mean,
you know, I have heard of those, but I've never used one. I would say that would be more awakening because of the needles. It probably is just helping to increase the circulation even more. Mm-hmm. I really enjoy just kind of the soothing, because this is like a polished stone. So I really like that. I also have coming in the mail more of an Ayurvedic wand that it's like made out of wood, but then there's 3 different types of metal on the end that's polished in a dome shape. And so that's supposed to have different energetic qualities of balancing and grounding too. And so I think there's a lot of, tools and modalities. And I would say if it's curious to you, to try it and see if you like it. If you don't, then you know.
I didn't want to.
You didn't want to try it.
It just didn't look right. What they claim is that the needles will encourage your the production of collagen, I think.
Yeah.
But as you were rolling it, and this lady was just like rolling it all over, and it was all bloody, It was like, I don't know if I want to experience that. But since, maybe it has something to do with just the skin, very, very, the very first layer of your skin. I don't know.
Right.
So I was just curious if you had something to say about that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for asking.
Any other questions? Thanks for all the chat stuff. When I was doing my sharing, I couldn't read all the chats. It was beautiful to go back. I hope you had a chance to look at some of that if you came in late. I think like you came in later, Dawn. But just so much beautiful sharing there. Thank you so much for all of that. And I really was so intrigued by that roller because I have seen them and I kind of thought to myself, well, that's how you would use them. But I didn't really look at, how different things that you spoke about in terms of energetically, how it's really stimulating and opening up a lot of this. And also, I would imagine that there's something that's being produced, I don't know all the scientific terms, but that would also help with the elasticity.
Yeah.
And it's just really, I can see how vibrant, obviously, how you're glowing, Radha. And I've had that experience with other types of practices, but that would be such a lovely ritual. And I thought about the stone, like what stone would feel right. And you mentioned the rose quartz. That I was thinking about that before because I can't see quite what you had there. And I thought, oh, I love rose quartz. I would love to use that. But right before you said what the traditional stone was, I saw a picture of it in my mind. So I can see the jade would have a more grounding effect, I think. And then when you mentioned the metals, I thought, well, yeah, the wood and the metal and all of that would carry different types of energy to use in different ways. So that's just a lovely tool. I'm always just so amazed by such simple little things that can be so powerful. That's really cool.
Right. Yeah, and there's no right or wrong way to use it. I would say just, whatever feels good. And you'll definitely feel where your face is holding more tension. I tend to hold mine right here and right here. And it just feels good to loosen that.
Yeah. I've really been practicing just like throughout the day, little moments of releasing the tension here that I wasn't even aware of.
Yeah.
That at some point, like earlier, I think it was right around the time that all this, stuff started with COVID, that in sleep I was clenching so much in sleep, and that it actually during the day I became aware that my teeth back here were like hurting because of the tension, and I didn't think I was really holding stress, but then when I started doing little meditative practices during the day and like releasing, I was like, oh yeah, that feels much better, So obviously I was stirring it here, and definitely I'm one who holds it up there too. So that's so cool. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
It looks like Mimi, you said that you had a roller and now you're inspired to use it, right? So that's awesome.
My friend gifted it to me. She works for a company that makes it, and I was part of a study. She said, I'm going to send you a free product. All you have to do is fill out a survey. And I said, but I haven't used it. She goes, just say it's amazing. I said, okay. And I believe, you're never too busy. I dislike it when people say, oh, I've been so busy, I haven't had time to use it. You make time for yourself. It's very important. And I make time for self-care and self-love. I'm a single mom of a almost 3-year-old, and by 9 p.m. I'm just exhausted. And of course I wash my face, but it's always quick. And I love taking the time at night, getting ready for bed. It's not just brushing your teeth and splashing water and face lotion on your face. It's just, I love that ritual. And I haven't really taken time to enjoy my getting ready for bed. And that means, like what you just did, Radha. And I love that. Just looking at you, just doing this.
Yeah.
The whole technique was so relaxing. So I have a face balm, and I'm going to use my roller tonight. I'm excited. Thank you for.
Hey, that's great.
Very good.
It's time, just make time for it. Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Dawn, have you had any experiences with some of that Radha was sharing right now with the points or?
No, I haven't had any experience. I'm excited to try it too. I was just writing down all of the places that you were going, but it'll be good to get the map like you said, because then
I must have heard you doing that, because I was like, oh, I should send them a picture, because this is going to be like, wait, what? To draw a face and then put all the points down. Yeah, so
that'll be great. We'll get that PDF out for sure. And I think what you touched on, Mimi, was so important. It's like we have these different things that we do or don't do, but I think that when we can actually bring ourselves to that moment, like, oh, I'm preparing, or I'm doing this thing, and that's how we do it. I think about that with food. Like, we can do all kinds of things about the food we take in, but then how do we take in that food? Like, how do we prepare that moment that we come to sit down? How do we prepare ourselves that moment we go into sleep, or that moment we come into waking? All those are added layers of ways that we can really connect more deeply within ourselves and the energy fields around us, so that we can also create energy fields around us. A woman who was on a webinar with me earlier, she's part of the community, and she's actually in our advisory council, but she has a whole movement that she's begun with Return to the Table. And there's just so many ways that we can attend to the moment, to the present moment, in such a loving way that really honors ourselves, honors our connections. And with that, I'd like to just thank you all again so much for being here today, for bringing your presence, your curiosity, your interest, mindfulness, yes, inspiration, and taking that out to not only to yourself, but to all those around you in your circles. I had a really powerful call this weekend with some individuals and World Vision, and it was just about how, just a few of us, each in our own way, taking that out and sharing with others these wisdoms, these beautiful ways that we can love more into the world, is just like these daily practices. They get amplified, and they're huge ways to transform our lives, and in that respect, transform our world too, into more conscious ways of living and connecting with well-being. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you, Radha, so much for your bliss, sharing your bliss. Radha of Bliss Alchemy, in case you're not familiar with that. Radha, if you'd like to just share the website they can go to, and we can close out. Yeah. So they can find you, Radha, at what? Oh, you got your website on there. Perfect. Okay.
Yep.
And also on our community page at PureEsperanza, there's a couple of links there that you can connect to with Radha as well. Hopefully you will reach out to that. I know, Radha, you're also a consultant for Beautycounter, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I know I will be looking that up as well. And so just continued blessings on that journey. And I know all of you are doing beautiful work out there in your own way. So thank you so much. And have a beautiful evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.